Okay, and I'm gonna take a quick roll call. Your Honor, are you back?
I am back. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, Maria, are you back?
Here.
Thank you. Jig, are you back?
I'm here, thank you.
Thank you, Jig. Renee, are you here?
Present.
Thank you, Renee. Trevor?
Yes.
Hi, Trevor. Jose? Jose? KK?
Yes, sir, present.
Hi, KK. Ricardo?
I'm here. So
Hi, Ricardo. Nicole?
Yeah.
Hi, Nicole. Jason? Jason?
And I'm back, President O.
Hey, hi, Jose. Welcome back. Jose is here. Jason? May not be back yet, but the quorum is present, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, President O. Just checking if Ms. Jarvis is back with us as well.
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. All right. Are we ready to get back on the record, President O?
Sure, that's good to go.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And I did hear petitioners earlier tuning in, so I think their audio and video is good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call the case. All right, we are here this afternoon to review the.
Your Honor, apologies. I think our member Wise is also joined, so he is here.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
apologies all.
No worries. Okay, we are here this afternoon to review the petition of Champion Health Services, Inc. for a reduction in penalty. My name is Danette Brown, and I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to hear this petition. For the record, that a quorum of the board is present, and with regard to the present case, the OAH number is 2023-050-481. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I am appearing on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And also, I want to note for the record that Ms. Hoffman, I know there's two Ms. Hoffmans. One is Erica and one is Monica. And so I believe Monica is the one that's going to be presenting on behalf of Champion Health Services, Inc. Is that correct?
No, that's Erica's representing Champion. I'm representing myself.
Okay. And that's part of this case as well?
Yes, it is. The reduction in this penalty is in regards to Monica Hoffman on our case.
Okay. Even though the case is entitled Champion
Yes.
Health
Your
Service.
Honor, if I may clarify, this is a petition for reduction of penalty for essentially the pharmacy, the wholesaler license, the WLS license. Monica was one of the owners and designated representatives in charge. And so this petition is going to focus on whether or not the board, if there is good cause for the board to release her from completing that term of probation. Monica was also on probation herself as a designated representative in charge, but she surrendered that license some time ago. I don't have that date. So this is solely for Champion Healthcare. It's just that Monica is the individual with the actions that need to be discussed here today.
Great. Thank you for setting me straight there, Ms. Jarvis. I appreciate it so much. Okay. Now that I got that straight, let me go straight to the instructions. Ms. Hoffman, are you, well, I'm noting that she's present for the record, and is Champion representing itself?
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain a little bit very quickly about the procedures in this matter. The board is concerned in this hearing about any rehabilitation activities that the company has engaged in since being placed on probation. The Deputy Attorney General will first proceed to provide a brief orientation of how we got here today. And then after that, Ms. Hoffman will have a right to make a presentation under oath on the company's behalf to explain why the reduction in penalty is warranted. Ms. Hoffman, you may call witnesses to testify, and you also may testify as well. You will be subject to questioning by board members as well as the Deputy Attorney General. And again, the board is concerned with any rehabilitation activities that you may have engaged in since the penalty was imposed. All right, you don't have to repeat anything that's in the petition packet unless, of course, you want to point something out that you want the board to know about. After the hearings today, the board is going to go into closed session. So you won't receive a decision today, but you will receive it in the near future, either by mail or by email. So Ms. Hoffman, any questions?
No, not at this time, Your Honor.
Okay, very good. I'm going to put you under oath at this time.
Okay.
So let's see, am I doing Erica or Monica?
Your Honor, if I may suggest that you simply put both of them under oath.
Sounds
Yeah.
good. All right, both of you, if you could please raise your right hands. Do you both swear or affirm that you will, under penalty of perjury, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. What I'm going to do for the record is just get both of your names and the spellings of both of your names, just to clarify that both Hoffmans are here. So let's start with Monica first.
First name Monica, Monica. Last name Hoffman, HOFF as in Frank, MAN.
Thank you. And Erica.
That would be Erica, ERIKA. Last name Hoffman, HOFF as in Frank, MAN.
All right, thank you both. All right, handing it over to Ms. Jarvis for the orientation and presentation of documents.
Thank you, Your Honor. This matter first arose via an accusation filed on March 15th, 2016 against petitioner's wholesale permit and two designated representatives, sisters Monica and Erica Hoffman. Because these sisters do share a last name, I will refer to them by their first names in general, and I do not mean any disrespect by doing so. Petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement with the board for the 5 years of probation, which became effective on November 15th, 2017. More than 5 years have now passed, and petitioner has been almost 100% compliant on probation. Petitioner's only non-compliance is the term of probation it is here asking the board to forgive, which is having designated representative Monica Hoffman complete the ethics course. Petitioner has paid $26,804.75 in investigation and prosecution costs. The facts underlying this matter are a bit convoluted, so I'm trying to boil this down to just the bare essentials. Petitioner, while licensed as a wholesaler, acted instead as a pharmacy by transferring prescriptions from an unlicensed entity to a licensed pharmacy for the purpose of dispensing and filling the prescriptions. Petitioner also aided and abetted that unlicensed entity in the unlicensed practice of pharmacy. Petitioner knowingly sold, offered for sale, held, or delivered misbranded drugs as well. Essentially, what it appears is that petitioner would accept prescriptions, purchase dangerous drugs in bulk, then send those drugs to be repackaged into smaller units, then selling the drugs without the patient package inserts regarding the side effects, contraindications, and effectiveness of the drugs. One of the owners and designated representatives, Erica, also represented to the board inspector that the unlicensed entity had ceased operations approximately 1 year before it actually did so. This representation was in an attempt to conceal the violations and Erica's responsibility for the same. Teresa Hoffman, who is Erica and Monica's mother, was the only listed owner on petitioner's application for ownership. Teresa Hoffman apparently stepped down prior to the board's investigation and was no longer an owner or officer. So at that point, Erica and Monica then acted as the owners along with a third party for several years without notifying the board of this change of owner and operator. Now, with its petition, petitioner provided the following documents. There is a letter from Monica asking the board to waive the requirement of the ethics course because she has been on a medical leave of absence since before the probation stipulation was signed. Although she hoped at that time that she would be able to return to full activity with the wholesaler, Monica had been diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. And then after entering into the stipulation, she was also diagnosed with sarcoma cancer in 2018. She has been required to have multiple surgeries, after which in 2021, she contracted COVID-19, for which she was hospitalized, according to the records, it looks like for approximately 1 week, but then discharged home to recovery and was bedbound for approximately 3 additional months. There is also a statement of explanation as to the violations that occurred. Also provided is a letter from Teresa, again, Erica and Monica's mother, wherein she addresses both the cancer and COVID diagnoses, but she does not address the issue of being the sole owner and officer listed on the application, and then her daughter's subsequent assumption of those roles. There's also what appears to be 3 invoices or packaging lists from 2 other entities to petitioner, the relevance of which is unclear. So I will ask Erica to address that when she's giving her presentation. All told, there were 4 letters of recommendation, all of which were verified. This includes a letter from petitioner's mother, a letter from a team trainer for the New York Mets who has worked with Erica, a letter from a pharmacy technician, and then finally a letter from a pharmacist who has reviewed petitioner's functioning and asserts that they are in compliance with all pharmacy laws. So at this time, I will identify Exhibit 1 as the petition packet submitted by petitioner, consisting of the documents just identified, and also including the notice of hearing, the agreement for electronic recording, and the memorandum to the board also outlining these factors. I would ask to move Exhibit 1 into evidence.
All right, the documents have been collectively marked as Exhibit 1 and will be admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then I would like to identify Exhibit 2 as the underlying decision in this order as to champion only in this matter. And I would ask that that be admitted into evidence as well.
All right, the documents have been marked as Exhibit 2 and will be admitted. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then at this time, I will cede the floor to petitioner.
All right,
Okay.
Ms. Hoffman, Erica, your opportunity to testify, so please proceed.
So I will go first and I will explain. I know some people have said this is what happened is a little convoluted and it's all kind of unique in a different case in all matters. Some of the accusations that in the board's case has mostly just about all to do with the company I worked prior with, which was called Sport Farm and Sport Farm Pharmaceuticals, Inc. The acting as a pharmacy and then handling the medications as a unlicensed entity. Yes, I did work for those gentlemen. The first employer I had was Robert Nickel, who started Sport Farm. And I worked for him about 8 to 9 years, and then he sold it to a gentleman, Mr. Al Pettigrew, who did Sport Farm Pharmaceuticals, Inc. With them, I was an employee. And during that time, I had acted in good faith, believing that all I's were dotted and T's were crossed when it came to legalities of the Board of Pharmacy, as each of them had representative lawyers who dealt with the board. Unfortunately, I found out in September 2013, after we had started our own company, Champion, that apparently the brokering without a license had been we had been notified of that. There's possibly a notice done in June 2011. I'm not sure which of my former bosses received that letter, but I do know that I was not notified of that. And unfortunately, by starting a new business, a lot of the work that I did as an employee fell onto Champion. So in May 2000, gosh, was it 2012, we applied for a license. And in November of that same year, we did our inspection with the wholesale. And we were approved as a wholesaler for Champion Health Services, license number 6040. Shortly thereafter, there was an inspection that came by the board, and there was an item that was misproperly labeled and not identified. And I did admit to the inspector at that point that I did make an error. That was my fault in judgment. I was going to face my prior training and experience. And it was in a few months later that we got that letter from the board regarding the non-brokering and some of the issues with repackaging. When that inspection happened, I believe May 2013, I quickly corrected that, sent it off to get the correct packaging, and got the product back within 48 hours. I sent my results to the board by FedEx. We were then visited with another inspection in December. I keep forgetting if it was 2013, 2014. I just know it was the end of the year. And it came to a package insert regarding a Z-Pack. In the actions of Champion Health Services, I know there's an explanation of package inserts, which we also know as PIs. When items come into the wholesale, all items must have a package insert. That is that if you're in a pharmacy, that little piece of paper that's glued to the top of a bottle, that is a package insert. So in wholesale, everyone is supposed to receive this when a package comes in. Well, not every vendor provider was providing a package insert. And unbeknownst to me, and it was actually the first time I had learned this, even though I had started in 2001, when a package insert comes in, technically you're not supposed to be dispensing it out. You're supposed to return it. It's supposed to get correct package insert attached to it. What I had been doing at that time when the second inspection came was I had already downloaded a bunch of package inserts. So when I was missing 2 package inserts, I would provide all my clients with that package insert. So if I was sending them a bottle of an anti-inflammatory and I had 10 bottles going out, but only had 8 package inserts, I would provide 2 more package inserts. I also held these package inserts as a PDF file on my computer, so that way they could get them by mail if they were misplaced in a box or shredded. So that's the term of the package insert. That's where on a wholesale we call package insert, and that's why in the paperwork I provided to you with some package inserts, when we got our inspection and we did our court case on the Champion Health, my due diligence in the package insert was it was on the job training, and I learned from this. So when we went on to our probation, my quarterly report was to make notes of anything that arose. So for 5 years during my quarterly reports, I would make notes of package inserts that were not received by vendors. That could be anywhere from like McKesson to Cardinal not providing. And I would notify those other DRICs in the area and talk and let them know that there was package inserts missing from their box and I could not ship that order. So nowadays, in the last 2 years, big name drug wholesalers such as McKesson, ABC, and Cardinal, and even some of the smaller secondary wholesalers like myself, they were now sending me items with no package inserts, but on their package sheets would tell me that I could go retrieve a package insert off dailymed.com. It's an NIH link to receive the package inserts, which is for my 5 years of quarterly probation, it was odd considering I was dinged for not receiving these physically in hand, but now apparently people are just notifying that you can now just go pull them off a website that's not their company. In relation to Terry Hoffman, our mother, when we originally filled out the application, we had a lady who worked for us. She had been in wholesale and repackaging as well, and she helped us fill out the original application. When she filled out the original application, she put Terry Hoffman in as the owner. And then it was also discovered by Danny Adams, who's with the Board of Pharmacy, that she also put Terry's name as the name of the company. So unfortunately, the original application by us in Champion, there were some errors on the application. And normally, for example, when I did another application for another company, the board would notify us with an errors with a one-page letter, like please correct, or need to make adjustments, or please clarify. In the case of Champion Health Services application for the wholesale, we were never notified of any errors. And then again, our due diligence, we did not cross our T's or dot our I's in making sure. So with the board's help and understanding, we were able to make the adjustments that Terry Hoffman was not the owner of the company. And then so for the last 5 years, we have been compliant with the board. For example, on our quarterly reports, those are submitted on time. As was stated, we have paid for the cost of the investigation of the prosecution just over $26,000. We have been compliant on example term number 6, the cost paid for monitoring with the inspection that comes several times a year by the board. And we've been compliant on term number 9, notifying our wholesale employees. That's kind of been easy because it's just really been me and the co-owners. I haven't hired anybody to work for a wholesale. As we've been compliant on term number 13 of the agreement, the independent consultant, we had 2 consultants in that time frame, and we have met with them several times. Both of them are pharmacists. And the one issue that we're here to date for this meeting today is for the reduction of penalty on Ms. Monica Hoffman on the ethics course. When we originally signed the agreement, Monica was just being diagnosed with breast cancer. There were many delays in 2015 when we were hoping to get the case heard then. But during that time, Monica was diagnosed with cancer. She was shortly thereafter being diagnosed with cancer, put on a medical leave. That medical leave lasted for about just over almost 3 years. She had to endure chemo, radiation, surgery, another surgery. After that, in her time during cancer, the reason why she's continuing to stay on medical leave after sarcoma is because she developed permanent neuropathy and she had some they call chemo brain fog, forgetfulness. So when we did the ethics course, our co-owner and I took the ethics course for the board. I did that, unfortunately, the weekend after my sister had her second cancer, sarcoma. And when we were at this 2-day ethics course meeting, she went into an emergency surgery that I was not able to attend. And when the ethics course was over, I found her in the ICU. The ethics course gentleman who ran the course offered me to step away from the ethics course and go to her, but I decided, and I know she would probably felt that I needed to complete the ethics course because it was financially straining already. And that's why we're here today, because of the financial situation and the reduction of penalty, the financial hardship, as Monica will, testify here quickly for why taking the ethics course for her is just kind of is a strain on us. Currently, our wholesale business is struggling, trying to keep the doors open. I just don't know how much longer that could be. It is a very short span, but we just don't want to close doors, but I do want to make sure that I can clear Champion completely of everything now that we have abide by the 5-year terms of the probation and have acted in good faith and have had no issues arise since.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Ms. Jarvis, anything on cross-examination?
I do not have any questions for Erica. Thank you.
All right. President O, any questions from the board?
Sure, I'll start with member Maria Serpa.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Jake?
No questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Renee?
Yeah, this is Renee. Just wanted to say to Monica, sorry for your health course and the turn of events, and just thank you for presenting today, but I have no questions.
Thank you, Renee. Trevor, I think just for the purposes of minutes, Indira has joined, but she just joined in the middle of this case, so she probably will partake on the next case. Trevor?
Yeah, so just to clarify, President so are we only asking questions of Erica or Erica and Monica, or is this like the entire question and answer session for the entire case?
I think we're starting with Erica, is my understanding, but Christina, please correct me, or Your Honor.
That is correct. Just Erica now, and then we'll get through with Monica after this.
Got it. Okay, then I'll no questions.
Okay, thank you, Trevor. Jose?
No questions at this time.
Thank you, Jose. KK?
No question, sir.
Thank you, KK. Ricardo? Ricardo, any questions for Erica? We'll come back to Member Sanchez. Nicole, any questions?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason, any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Erica, just I would like, just curious, what kind of business is are you in now, as your main business now is Champion Health Services, correct?
Yeah, yes.
Oh. Can you just describe your business? What kind of work? Yeah.
Okay. So Champion Health Services is a drug wholesaler. We provide medication to physician offices. We do not hold a DEA license, so therefore there are no narcotics on our premises. We have a proprietary software that our physicians can order their medication from. It is submitted by email to me with a notice when there has been an order placed. The orders are processed in the warehouse, recorded, and when those orders are shipped out, that information, lot numbers, expiration dates, NECs, quantities, the vendor that it came from is then uploaded into the Vision software so they can go dispense into their office.
Okay, got it. All right. No further questions for me, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, President O. I believe at this time we are going to have Monica testify. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, board members. My sister, pretty much, as you can tell, we're identical twins. My sister has pretty much given the gist of what mostly the case was about, the package inserts. And I know my sister, she's an honorable person. And when she thought she was being trained by her previous bosses at her old company, Robert Nickel and Mike Pavlich, who are very well known in the pharmacy community, she thought she was being trained properly. And you never, when you have these people in these positions, you always assume that they're giving you the best learning. At that time, my sister and I, in 2012, started Champion Health Services. We had these gold star standards that we want to give to our clients so we can give them more attention and more care, give more boutique to our sports teams. As we were trying to build up, about a couple years into it, as my sister stated, in October of 2015, actually on our birthday, a mass was found in my chest. I did not say anything to my family because I just assumed, and my sister and I were like so focused on work because she was leaving for another meeting. A month later, on November 2nd, I was diagnosed with a rare aggressive breast cancer. My sister and I had just turned 37 a couple weeks before. Because of my age and how aggressive my cancer was growing, my doctors had stated to my sister and my family that they wished I would be in chemo the next day. But over the next 7 days, I was in and out of the hospital with everything. And starting November of 2015 to 7/11 of 2016 was my last day of radiation. So during that time, I had to endure 8 rounds of aggressive chemo, double dose. And many of you don't know what that's like. Most people have single dose, not double dose. I had a reverse reaction to one of the medications, where it caused facial paralysis and neuropathy. Due to that, after recovery, I had developed a drop vert, and I stated to my sister I could not return to work at that time. But during this time in my breast cancer battle, we had to deal with the Board of Pharmacy accusation case against us. Yes, I did attend the hearing, and I did agree to stipulation. But at that time, since I was battling breast cancer and I knew I could beat it per my doctors, I had hopes to return to work one day, still being so young and had so many years to give. But however, I had returned to work maybe about a month in 2018. I had just barely got my feet wet for a couple days a week going in. And unfortunately, we were actually at the office when I got a call from the hospital saying I need to get in there ASAP. A aggressive form of sarcoma was found in my chest. During this time, oh my God. During this time, my sister and I have been battling my money, taking out our savings account to cover for the Board of Pharmacy and the $100,000 in legal fees. And then during this time, I had to go into an operation that was 12 hours. But before that, it was 2 weeks before our 40th. And that was the hard part. My sister and I are trying to work with the board because they told me I need to be writing my will, or they could probably save my life. And 2 days before our 40th birthday, we got the word that they could save my life. On October 20th, I went into an operation for 12 hours. So the hospital 14 weeks. A week later, on the 27th, as Erica stated, while she was at her seminar doing her due diligence and doing her part of the probation, I was rushed into an emergency surgery at midnight. I wanted my mom to call my sister, but she wanted my sister's ahead of the game with the Board of Pharmacy. Sometimes during the last 7 years, we have put the Board of Pharmacy and our business over my health. I have not returned. I actually have since 2019 been on disability, but yes, I am still a member on the board with the business, but I do not go in the office. I actually 2021, Erica did not state, and I also mentioned I was also in the hospital with COVID pneumonia, but sadly it was Erica who went in the hospital first. She had got it by being at the office and brought it home to me. With me having to not be able to help her out, she had to actually go into the office 3 days after being discharged from the hospital with an oxygen tank to keep this business going per the Board of Pharmacy because she could not miss work. And at that time, many of you might be parents. To see, we have 4 siblings, to see your 2 youngest children be in the hospital and sharing an oxygen tank at home is very scary. So my mom and I decided to let Erica work her best she can to keep Champion afloat and work with the Board of Pharmacy, while Erica sacrificed herself and I moved to Florida because per my doctors, I needed to focus on my health because during COVID, it's very rare, but I was diagnosed with COVID ground glass. I've been treated at Hoke Hospital in Newport Beach, and right now I'm being treated at Moffitt Cancer Center. I'm being seen by a specialist in the lung department for the COVID ground glass. I am being seen by their sarcoma specialist since I had about 90% of my chest removed. And I'm seen by the breast cancer because of my age and everything. At this time, many of you might understand, like the previous gentleman I heard a couple cases before, in Florida, he moved to Florida for his wife for better health and better pay. Imagine what it's like being 7 years, about 5 of the 7 years battling 2 cancers and COVID. No income. I have very little disability and no government, and nothing against Board of Pharmacy, but no government support because I'm a single person with no child or husband for dependent. So I get no extra government aid. So me trying to battle, trying to pay you guys, I'm already broke. I mean, I live with my mom, who's my caregiver. My sister helps me out as much as she can paying bills. But I think what my sister has done for the board in us paying their bills and then $100,000 in legal fees and what I've been through, I'm hoping for, when I talk, I get emotional. I hope that the board can see some kind of empathy in the struggles that I've been through to waive my fee and let Champion and my sister be able to get off and move forward, because as of my future will not be in healthcare. I don't know what my future holds as far as health. I'm actually setting up appointments because I've had dizzy spells and some heart issues that related to cancer, but also it's a COVID side effect from remdesivir and a BAM infusion. But I don't know what the future holds for me as work, but I know it does not have me coming back to pharmaceutical at any time or in the future not being an owner. So I thank you. Sorry for the tears, but I know what my sister's been through with all this, and at the same time coming home and taking care of me along with my mom. So I thank you, Your Honor. I thank you, everybody, for listening and being and dealing with me and my tears. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Ms. Jarvis, any questions for Ms. Hoffman? Monica,
Yes, please, Your Honor.
go ahead.
Okay. So, Ms. Hoffman, you are still currently on the board of Champion, correct?
Yes.
Are you still a 35% owner?
Yes.
Okay. Have you thought about getting off the board or selling your ownership interest?
We've tried, but not really worth. But right now, I just didn't want with probation. My sister and I, we're trying not to make decisions without incurring lawyer fees. So we do have a decision. We have been talking about it, especially lately. But as of now, previously, we have not been able to make changes because of the cost and anything.
Now, at the time of the probation, that the probation started, you were licensed as a designated representative in charge. And through that process, you also entered into a separate stipulated settlement, correct? Where you were placed on probation through your individual license.
Yes, but the day of the hearing is when I told the judge and my attorney that I was surrendering it because I was in the middle of treatment.
Okay. Putting that aside, though, you were placed on probation.
Yes.
And the board adopted that, so the probation was effective, and then you surrendered your license pursuant to those terms of probation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if at any point in the future you decided to return as a designated representative in charge, you would have to go through this same process, petition to the board, appear in order to get that license back. And are you aware that if you did so, you would be subject to the same terms and conditions that you agreed to back in the beginning of this case?
Yes, I am aware. I've been aware of that since the beginning, but because of the chemo brain and honestly, I've had COVID brain fog, I will not be doing any pharmaceutical meds, filament, or anything. Never in the future.
Do you recall, and just because of everything you said about your medical condition, do you recall that as a term of probation that you agreed to for your personal license, you also agreed to do this same ethics course?
Yes.
So it was essentially, it's kind of like a nice little puzzle, right? So you and your sister each had your individual probations. You each were required to do the ethics course for your individual probations. But then in your roles as an owner of Champion, you were also ordered to do the ethics course. Obviously, taking the ethics course once would suffice, for you and Champion, and then for Erica and Champion.
Yes.
Okay. So if at any point you did decide to return to the world of pharmacy in any capacity, would you at that time be willing to take this ethics course if your health improved to such an extent that you could do that?
If my health could and I was in the financial position, I could, but I don't see myself being anywhere in the near future in that financial position.
Are you familiar with Champion's sort of day-to-day functioning through just conversations with your sister?
Yes.
If Champion were to be released from probation without you having to take this ethics course, do you see any change in Champion's functioning based on your not taking the ethics course?
I could see it might let my sister try to grow the business, but having that ding on it right now with that flag on it, it hurts her.
So my question is really getting to what difference do you think would happen in Champion's day-to-day activities if you don't take the ethics course? Do you see any difference in how Erica would be running the business?
No, because she's pretty much taken over my role in the county.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Handing it over to President O for any further questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Maria, any questions for Monica?
Hi, Monica, thank you for your time and explaining the situation. I just wanted to be clear, because in reading the documents, I think what I read was the last provision that you're asking to be excused is the ethics course for yourself.
Yep.
Is there anything else that is remaining from the old case?
Nope, that's the last thing that is affecting myself and Champion is me.
And it's the class, it's not you.
The class, yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank
Eric
you
has
for-
done everything that the board has asked her to, except for the one course I've taken. Haven't taken.
Thank you. Jake, any questions?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Renee, any questions?
I know I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Trevor?
One question is, how long is the ethics course? How long does it take?
I've been
I'll
told,
answer that.
yeah, Erica.
It's 2 days, 8 hours.
Got it. I mean, I'm just curious as, I mean, obviously you coming before the board and this whole process of appealing to take it off, is there a reason you decided to go through the process of petitioning the board rather than doing the ethics course? What's the rationale behind that?
The financial burden. I don't have the $2,000 for me to sit still for that long. I mean, I've been sitting here since 9 o'clock, but mostly laying down in bed waiting for us to be called. And to recall a lot of stuff, but my understanding when Erica told me what they had to go through in the questioning and the recalling of stuff, my memory is not that great with every specific detail. So if I was to be put in front of the class, I would probably botched half of the description of everything back then.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jose, any questions or comments?
No, just thank you. Thank you for the background. Thank you for the details, and I wish you luck.
Thank you.
PK?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricardo?
Yeah, no questions.
Thank you, Ricardo. Nicole?
I didn't have any questions, but Monica, I just wanted to thank you for coming today and for sharing your story. You have no reason to apologize for being emotional. You've been through so much. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that with us. I know that kind of a health journey is really scary, and it's really hard to share that with other people. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Jason?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And for me, I don't have a question. Just wishing you the best and good luck on your health.
Thank you.
Continue to fight the journey.
Yeah.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, President O. Ms. Jarvis, one last time, any further follow-up questions?
I do actually have a follow-up question for Erica, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And Erica Hoffman, and we heard some implication about this, but I just want a clear statement for the record. How much did it cost for you to do the ethics course when you did it?
It was originally 2,000 with the interest, but 24 and change now.
$2,400 for you to take this course?
Yes, because I had to borrow money.
And it was a 2-day course, you said, 2 days, 8 hours each day. And then was there follow-up after 6 months and 12 months?
Just those 6 and 12 months. That was just it. They send us a packet each time and we answer questions and then you submit it. And then at 12-month mark, if you complete everything, they give you the certificate for completion.
Great. Thank you very much. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Without further ado, then, I believe we are complete with our hearing. So that concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The record is closed, the case is submitted, and we are off the record, and we shall proceed to the next petition unless President O says otherwise.
I believe we're okay to pursue one last case, unless the member needs a break. I think we're ready to go. And just for the record, for this case, Indira has joined as well, Your Honor. So, but I will keep that updated for you.
Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. I've promoted our petitioner and their legal counsel. If I can get some quick mic checks and camera checks just to make sure that everything's working.
Ivan Petrzelka on behalf of Zara Armagan here.
Thank you. All right, and Ms. Armagan, I see that your camera's on, but can I get a quick mic check from you?
Sure. Hi.
Hello, I can hear you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Give me a second here while I pull up some files. All right, ready to proceed then. I'm going to go ahead and call the case. We are here this afternoon to review the last petition of the day. This is Zara Armagan, agency case, or strike that, OAH case number 2023-050502. And this matter is being heard before the Board of Pharmacy. And there is a quorum present. My name is Danette Brown, and I am an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings assigned to preside over this petition matter. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. I am Deputy Attorney General Christina Jarvis, and I'm appearing here on behalf of the Attorney General for the people of the state of California. My role is not adversarial, but it is intended to protect the public interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. And on behalf of petitioner, counsel, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Ivan Petrzelka, California Pharmacy Lawyers, on behalf of Zara Armagan.
All right. And good afternoon to you, Mr. Petrzelka.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right. So we're just going to cut straight to the chase here. At this time, I'm going to put Ms. Armagan under oath, so I don't have to do it later. So if you could kindly show her on the camera, or I don't know if she's in the same room with you or she's somewhere else. I don't have the full screen of everyone up. But Ms. Armagan, if you're there.
Yes, I'm here, Your Honor.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, ma'am?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Before we do that, though, we're going to go and go back to Ms. Jarvis for a brief introduction of the case and presentation of the documents. Ms. Jarvis.
Your Honor. This matter arose via an accusation filed on May 16th, 2018. This was against petitioner's pharmacist license, as well as her pharmacy license, where she was the sole owner and pharmacist in charge, or PIC. And the 8 causes for discipline listed in the accusation consists of approximately 10 pages, which can be reviewed on the board's website or on the Department of Consumer Affairs website through the Breeze portal. Essentially, though, this is a corresponding responsibility and filling invalid prescriptions case. The first cause for discipline was that in 1 month in 2016, petitioner filled 5 prescriptions for dangerous drugs that were not valid, as they were written by an individual not licensed as a prescriber in California. The second cause for discipline was delivering dangerous drugs to patients without providing a written notice of the patient's right to request consultation. The third cause was failing to keep or be able to produce original prescription documents for 11 identified prescriptions. The fourth cause for discipline was failing to provide the prescriber's federal controlled substance registration number for 13 identified prescriptions, one of which was in 2013, 6 in 2015, and then 6 in 2016. The fifth cause for discipline was filling 78 identified prescriptions that did not conform to the requirements for prescriptions in various ways. First of all of them lacked a, quote, California Security Prescription watermark. Many failed to have batch numbers, lot numbers, security printer numbers, and many other requirements. The sixth cause for discipline was dispensing 162 prescriptions written by the same prescriber in a span of 1 month in 2016, which contained a plethora of red flags. Specifically, 54% of the prescriptions were for promethazine with codeine, and then either oxycodone, alprazolam, or both. This prescriber's office was approximately 20 miles from the pharmacy, and the patients all had addresses, or mostly had addresses outside of the pharmacy's expected trade area. This physician also prescribed only the highest possible strength of oxycodone and alprazolam, and prescribed a similar therapy and diagnosis for all of his patients. When interviewed, this patient also denied issuing the prescriptions and denied recognizing the patient's names. The seventh cause for discipline was failing to ensure that pharmacy technicians wore their identification badges. And the eighth and final cause was failing to safely quarantine expired medication. During the inspection, board inspectors found 43 expired medications located in the pharmacy's active drug stock, and 3 of those medications lacked any legible manufacturer's expiration date. In aggravation, petitioner and her pharmacy had collectively been issued 3 prior citations for similar misconduct. Petitioner entered into a stipulated settlement with the board, which became effective on August 28, 2019. This stipulation placed petitioner on probation for 5 years with specified terms and conditions. Via a separate stipulation, petitioner surrendered her pharmacy license. Petitioner has been 100% compliant with probation. Petitioner's probation was told from September through December of 2019. It appears that is how long it took her to find work as a pharmacist while on probation. And petitioner to date has paid $20,114.63, the total amount of investigation and prosecution costs. With her petition, petitioner provided the following documents: 117.75 hours of qualified continuing ed, which was taken from August of 2021 to October of 2022. There were 140.75 hours total, but some of those hours were not qualified. Petitioner also provided 9 letters of recommendation, 8 of which were able to be verified by board staff. I'm told that board staff did reach out to the 9th person, but they were unable to reach that author. Just this morning, I received a 10th letter from petitioner's counsel. Obviously, that letter also was not able to be verified. In these letters, petitioner's current employer states that he supports petitioner's request for early termination of probation and that she is an invaluable pharmacist and team member, provides excellent patient care, and has an impressive strength of character. A former supervisor states petitioner was careful, accurate, professional, hardworking, and was a valuable employee in a complex oncology and autoimmune disease clinic. Another supervisor stated that petitioner is efficient, experienced, accurate, and a great asset to the pharmacy. A PIC under whom petitioner works states that petitioner is reliable and functional, provides quality care, and an asset to any pharmacy team. A medical assistant at one of the clinics where petitioner works states that petitioner goes above and beyond to deliver the highest level of care to patients. Another medical assistant and surgery coordinator states that petitioner is able to navigate difficult and complex situations, prioritizes her workflow well, and is a great asset to the team. A professor of computer science who used to do some work for petitioner at her pharmacy states that petitioner was an honest, kind, and hardworking person who was significantly challenged by caring for her very ill husband and managing a new pharmacy, but that she was always diligent and competent. A nurse practitioner who works with petitioner states that she has expertise and a willingness to assist people, provides professional advice on pharmaceuticals, and understands pharmacy law and ethical behavior. Finally, the owner and PIC of a pharmacy that petitioner works with closely as part of her role as being employed in that clinic states that petitioner has excellent clinical knowledge, diligently works for patients, and acts affirmatively to avoid drug interactions. So I'd like to at this time move Exhibit 1 as the petition packet consisting of those documents just identified and also including the notice of hearing, the agreement for electronic recording, and a memorandum to the board setting forth some of the same information, and ask that all be admitted as Exhibit 1.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. The documents have been collectively marked as Exhibit 1. Any objections, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Then Exhibit 2 is the underlying decision, the stipulation, and order in this matter, and I would ask it be admitted as Exhibit 2.
The documents have been marked as Exhibit 2. Any objections, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. This completes my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. All right, Mr. Petrozelka, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may, I would like to make a brief introductory statement.
You may.
Honorable Judge and dear members of the board, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present this petition on behalf of Ms. Armagan. We understand that these petitions are not granted lightly, and we acknowledge the board's mandate to prioritize protection of the public over any and all other concerns that may be presented to the board. With that said, we're not here with any sense of entitlement, but with a humble request for reprieve in light of the continuous and strong mitigation and rehabilitation efforts put forth by Ms. Armagan over the period of last 4 years. The pharmacist who appears before you today with her petition is a professional who clearly erred in her professional judgment several years ago during a very difficult and trying time of her life when she was dealing with prolonged illness and ultimately death of her husband. Nevertheless, that's clearly not an excuse for what happened at her pharmacy at that time. Ms. Armagan spent the last several years working very diligently on her rehabilitation and to demonstrate to the board and to the public at large that, notwithstanding her past lapse in judgment, she is indeed capable to safely and responsibly practice her profession, as can be also ascertained from the supporting letters that Ms. Jarvis briefly overviewed in her presentation. Zara Armagan is a pharmacist who is here today with full understanding of the critical importance of proper record keeping and due diligence in pharmacy practice, and the critical importance of the role that pharmacists play in prevention and abuse of diversion of controlled substances. We're all aware of the magnitude of the impact that the opioid crisis has on our communities, and Ms. Armagan has clearly and unequivocally demonstrated her commitment to safe practice of pharmacy. Ms. Armagan has been placed on probation in August of 2019, and today she served nearly 4 years of that probation. The principal causes for discipline were related to her failure of corresponding responsibility, essentially to ensure that prescriptions that were filled by her pharmacy conformed to the regulatory requirements and that they were issued for legitimate medical purpose. Even though she may have not necessarily been personally involved in filling of these prescriptions, as the owner and a PIC of the enterprise, she accepts full responsibility for whatever happened then. We would like to bring forth the following reasons for granting the petition. Although Ms. Armagan was fully compliant with and has been fully compliant with the terms of her probation, we understand that that in and of itself is not sufficient reason to grant this petition. The principal reason that we present for granting the petition is Ms. Armagan's continuous and exemplary effort to mitigate and to remediate any harm that may have been caused by her past misconduct. And this is not a short-term effort just prior to filling the petition. As you could see from the record, Ms. Armagan has been continuously engaged in extensive volunteer work where she serves the underprivileged segment of our society, as referenced by the letters. She's also engaged in extensive continuing education, specifically targeted on the issues of corresponding responsibility, proper management of controlled substances, proper use of opioids, and prevention of abuse and diversion. Nearly 6 years, or more than 6 years actually, passed from the time that the misconduct was identified or occurred. Ms. Armagan also suffered a significant personal hardship as a result of the disciplinary penalty. As Ms. Jarvis pointed out in her presentation, for a period of number of months, Ms. Armagan was unable to find employment, whether compensated or voluntary, as a pharmacist on probation. As the members of the board are certainly aware of, it is exceedingly difficult today for a pharmacist who is under terms of probation to find or to even be considered for an employment in the increased regulatory oversight. Ms. Armagan's life was essentially turned upside down by the penalties and by the consequences of her misconduct, and she understands that she has nobody else to blame for it than herself. But we respectfully submit that at this point of time, after 4 years of her probation, in full compliance with significant effort to demonstrate her rehabilitation, there is no additional margin of safety for the public provided by continuing her probation at this point of time. And we believe that the documentary evidence and Ms. Armagan's testimony that is forthcoming will clearly and unequivocally establish that at this point of time, she does not pose any threat to the public, and that termination of her probation at this time would be in the best interest of the public. And with that, I would like to call Ms. Armagan to testify on her behalf.
All right, please proceed.
Thank you for joining us, Ms. Armagan. Could you tell us how long have you been a pharmacist in California?
For over 20 years.
And what is your primary area of practice?
Community pharmacy.
Okay. What was the main reason for your discipline or for the probation that you're currently on right now?
I felt corresponding responsibility and a standard of practice to which which pharmacists and PIC are being held. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous, so if I say things back and forth, my apology.
Oh. With being on probation for nearly 4 years at this point of time, do you have good understanding in retrospect how serious the violations were that occurred at your pharmacy?
Yes, of course. If you allow me, and Judge and our board members, in that, if allow me to talk about myself briefly. I came to this country at early 20s with no English. I went to school when I had my 2 children at the age 5 and 7. I got accepted to Temple University in Philadelphia. It was, except for that past 4 years that I was on probation, that was another 4 years of the most difficult time of my life. It was very hard on me with 2 little kids. The reason that I'm saying this, I just want to say it's an honor and privilege to be a pharmacist. And when the day that I received the package from Board of Pharmacy, I felt that I failed my oath at the last day of my pharmacy school. And it was a shame to me. And through the study that I did, every 7 minutes, one person died of overdose in this country. And I wish I knew that I would be more careful. I would be more attending at my pharmacy. I'll just give you a very simple example. I remember in 2015, whoever asked me, how's the pharmacy? I was telling them, my pharmacy is like a teenager, a wild teenager that always out of the house, and I don't know what's going on there. And the reason that it was so overwhelming to me, because I was taking care of my husband over years, and it was very, very difficult. First, doctors couldn't diagnose him for 2 years. After 2 years, he was diagnosed for frontal lobe dementia. And then I have a caregiver at my house, and all day I wasn't home, all day I was at work and supporting 2 children at college. So I didn't know what's going on in my house. Then after that, I put it in a home care. And about 2 years, he was in home care, and he ended up in hospital with compartment syndrome because of over medication. They did over medicate him. So then he ended up in nursing home, and almost 3 years he was in nursing home. And at that time, I was battling a legal. I had a legal battle with my husband's family also. So it was a very difficult time for me. And that's why I tried to find a partner or a PIC. I tried to sell the pharmacy. I couldn't find anyone. I had to sell it to chain. I didn't want to sell it to chain, and individuals was very difficult. So, and I ended up having someone which I trusted, but now I learned my lesson. I have to manage, and whatever is going on in a pharmacy is the responsibility of PIC. And so saying all this, I don't want to bring excuses for my action, but it was a difficult time that I hired people. I was hiring different pharmacies to help me, and unfortunately, one after another was failed. So, and that's why I end up not focusing on my corresponding responsibility, red flags, and all those. So, but right now I'm very confident. I had, as Ms. Dag says, it's more than 100 units of continuing education. I have a list here of all my my subscription. I know email from Board of Pharmacy. I always pay attention to them. Ask the Inspector. I'm subscribed to Department of Justice. I'm subscribed and a member of Partnership to End Addiction, and also all the institutions that offer CEs, APHA, 3CE, ASHP, Power Packs, Achieve CE, and so it's for me it was education, especially regarding narcotic, prevention of substance abuse, and diversion. So these are the core the core of my responsibility for the past 4 years.
Thank you. Could you tell us a little bit more about some specific changes that you have made in your personal practice? You currently do not own pharmacies, but you still work as a pharmacist. So can you tell us more, how do you apply the knowledge that you've gained from these various courses to your daily practice of pharmacy?
Yes, I was working at Medico Pharmacy, which I was working with narcotic, also at City Pharmacy. At Medico Pharmacy, it was volunteer. At City Pharmacy, it was per diem. And right now, I work for another independent. The first thing that I do, which it's reconciliation. I go over inventory and I print. There's a list of audit from Board of Pharmacy, which thanks to my inspector, she was a great source to me, and I appreciate whatever she's been doing for me. She was the one keeping me in probation, and I didn't quit. So I print out the form. It's like, I don't know, 25 items that they have to consider and make sure that the pharmacy is following. And also I always talk about features, 14 features that it has to be on a prescription, because that's what my failure, which and I end up to probation.
So you're currently working as a pharmacist at a retail pharmacy, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us more about kind of the employment history? I know you mentioned in your documents that you volunteered at some free clinic. Could you please elaborate on your experience there?
Sure. It's very hard to find jobs. So, but I'm glad that I could help communities, especially in Orange County, with Les Donna Clinic on a daily basis. I was there first to check patients' charts to make sure all the labs and medications are based on the labs, the medications are correct, which I found some of them that they need, like prescribed calcium, vitamin D. Some diabetic, they don't have meters, test strip. So all these corrections that I was doing on the chart. And also I was on the phone most of the time with different pharmacies to resolve issues of patients' prescriptions.
So it's mostly clinical aspect, not necessarily dispensing.
No, it was more clinical. No, there wasn't any dispensing.
Okay. Have you been continuously employed throughout your probation to meet the minimum requirements set forth in your settlement?
Yes, I know it's been very hard. It's been very hard to be employed. That's why I had to, for a long time, I had to volunteer job at the clinic and medical pharmacy. At the clinic, there was a preceptor was offering me a job at the Western University Pharmacy School, But unfortunately, I didn't follow up because I'm on probation.
So when you're on probation, you could not act as a preceptor for students. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And is that something that you would like to do if, let's say that the board would decide to grant your petition? Is this the career path that you would like to pursue?
Definitely. I like to go to more clinical. I took a course about 2 years ago as sterile compounding, which it was very useful because it was there. I learned to do all the chemotherapy medication as far as being sterile. And also, I like to take some courses at UCLA as a clinical pharmacist. Hopefully, I can find a job at universities as a teaching position.
I see. And so some of the work experience, or most of the work experience that you described, appears to be voluntary. So what, were you able to find any paid position at all, or?
Yes, it was part-time as city pharmacy. It was maybe 2-3 days a week, 4 or 5 hours a day. I was working, and also right now the independent pharmacy I'm working, it's 1 or 2 days a week.
Okay. So what was the impact of the disciplinary action, or what is the impact of the disciplinary action on your current situation, including your family?
It's been very tough. Actually, I moved 2 times. Since my probation, I moved to a cheaper area with less rent, so I can afford. And that's why I couldn't go to the clinic anymore, because it was 4 hours drive, like 2 hours in the morning almost, and 2 hours in the afternoon.
What about your current experience in terms of your ability to utilize your potential? Do you feel that at your current work assignment, you are using fully your potential as a pharmacist?
Yes, of course. Of course. It's with the educations and work experience, and again, my inspector, I'm fully knowledgeable of I'm counting 14 features on a prescription and 14 red flags. So those are very important. Also, make sure that I filled in as documentation. I failed on that, and that's why I'm very careful right now. Any pharmacy I'm going, I check everything, and I make sure that whatever I learn, I utilize at workplace.
So do you feel confident that if the board grants your petition, you can independently and without supervision handle controlled substances?
Yes, of course. I've been working independently, but definitely with my knowledge, I'm not looking forward to that. But definitely, if I have to, I'm very confident that I can manage and make sure everything is correct as far as corresponding responsibilities.
And if your petition is granted, do you have any specific goals or objectives as to what area of practice would you like to engage in that you currently perhaps cannot do?
Yes, as I mentioned, I'm going to be a clinical pharmacist because I know I'm very good at it. While I was working at the clinic, I've seen things that it's unbelievable that patients, how much they in need. I did food exam, and the patient is diabetic with high sugar, no meter, no test strip, and it's with the fungus on nail, which is very, very prone to get amputated. So, and when I share my knowledge with them and I consult them, their eyes were just open, and it seems like that it's the first time they hear somebody tell them about food care and sugar level and all this. So I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot.
Do you plan on getting back into pharmacy ownership? Previously, you owned your own pharmacy, and that was something that you have seemingly enjoyed based on documents that you provided. Do you ever plan on going back to pharmacy ownership?
No, not at all. Not at least I'm pretty sure not immediately, or maybe not, mostly not at all. But if it happens, I'm pretty sure I won't be by myself.
Okay, so you would mostly be aiming towards like staff position or clinical position. Is that correct?
Actually, and that's why I'm telling all independent pharmacies that I'm working, the best that they can do, they should hire their companies that they come and they audit, like internal audit. And that's what they need to do. And I don't see myself doing that at all. I like when I see how helpful I am in the clinic and pharmacies with consultation. That's why I chose clinical.
How about acting as the
and that's why I
pharmacist?
have the
Sorry. Continue.
sorry. I have the license for sterile compounding.
I see. How about acting as the pharmacist in charge? Are you considering that?
No, not immediately. I'm capable of being a pharmacist in charge, but I'm not looking for that.
Okay. So you've put in about 4 years of your 5 years probation, and why do you think that the board should trust you at this point of time, or should grant your petition?
With all my 4 years in probation, which is very, very difficult time, I tried so hard to stick to laws and regulations, and I'm going to be a good asset for the public. I'm going to be useful, and that's why I'm hoping the board trust me in that part and terminate my probation.
Did you find the probation process, or the period during which you were on probation, did you find it helpful for your professional development?
Yes, it was very difficult, and especially finding jobs. But other than that, yes, it was, as I'm saying, that when I read that every 7 minutes, one person died from overdose, I've been thinking for past 4 years, I've been thinking that whoever overdosed is, as I have my 2 children, it's the son, daughter, mother, father of someone that died, and that tore my heart. It's very difficult on me, and I always share it with my children that why, even if for a very, very small chance that I contributed to opioid prices, it's a shame.
You mentioned earlier that you wanted to do some compounding. Have you tried to find a job as a compounding pharmacist?
Yes.
And
no,
was there no success?
No, actually there was one close to the clinic in Orange County that I was working, and they say they don't need pharmacists right now.
Okay. Was the fact that you're on probation, did that play any role in the rejections from the various jobs?
Actually, that's why I've heard through one of my friends that they need a pharmacist. And I said, okay, I'm gonna get my license. I'm interested in sterile compounding. I've been thinking about it. So I went to Florida. I got my license. And when I came back, maybe it was my mistake. I should have talked to them before I get my, but anyway, I was interested to get my license anyway, but it was very difficult, especially financially.
Okay. Well, you're referring to a compounding license. Could you clarify what you mean by that? To the best of my knowledge, there is no specific compounding license for a pharmacist.
It's a sterile compounding, it's a certificate.
But it's a training.
Yes.
Is that correct? I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, it's a 3-4 days training.
Okay. So at this point, do you believe that you can safely and responsibly practice pharmacy without the board's close supervision?
Yes, I'm very confident.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's all for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Petrozelka. Ms. Jarvis, any questions on cross-examination?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Armagon, I know you touched on this a little bit in a few of your answers, but I'd like to delve a little bit deeper and in a little bit more detail as to what specifically led to you or your pharmacy filling these fraudulent prescriptions as outlined in the accusation. So there were quite a few fraudulent prescriptions that were identified. How did you miss that?
I can bring you the reasonings, but at the beginning, I said it was my responsibility and it was my duty to make sure that the prescriptions are coming to my pharmacy is legit and correct. The reason that happened, it was an AIDS clinic that I used to work with a couple of years ago prior to that. And they had mostly AIDS medication, some cough syrup, some other medication. It was like a list of medication. Some of them were diabetic. So it was a solid clinic, and I went to see the doctor. So everything was legit and good. So that year that they started sending us prescription, unfortunately, I trusted my staff pharmacist, and I thought that she's going to communicate with the doctor. She's going to make sure everything is correct. But unfortunately, she didn't. And as I'm saying, it was my responsibility. I should have asked her that to make sure that talk to the doctor. Have you talked to the doctor? Actually, the day that I stopped filling more prescription, I realized that she did call the doctor's office, but she never spoke with the doctor directly. So I stopped at that time.
So are you saying, and was that pharmacist Ilaya Yazdi?
Yes.
Okay. So are you saying that she was the one who actually took the actions, whether or not it was your responsibility as the PIC and the owner, but she was the one who specifically filled all of these prescriptions?
Not all of them. Some of them I filled the prescription, but it was, I don't know what is the percentage, but it was the reason that she was doing it mostly because in the morning I was going to the pharmacy at 11 o'clock, and she was telling me that she wants to check all the prescription in the morning from that clinic. So when she came at 9 o'clock, she was checking those prescriptions.
Okay, so most of these are from the same physician, the same prescriber. And so you're saying that all of those that are from the same prescriber, those were from this AIDS clinic, and that your staff pharmacist who you hired was the one who actually was sort of doing the hands-on work of filling those prescriptions.
Yes.
During this time period, were you doing any kind of I guess I could call it oversight. You know, were you doing inventory reconciliation? Were you reviewing the orders for drugs, things like that?
Yes, I was looking at the control board, make sure that whatever it's coming and whatever it's going out, it's matched. As far as this part of this is again my failure, because I believe that those prescription, there's a watermark that it was missing, and I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, that's the one sort of consistency with throughout all of these prescription forms. They appear to lack that watermark.
Yeah, that was over 7 weeks. Actually, I had that staff pharmacist for 7 weeks, and I fired her.
Oh, so she only worked there for a little less than 2 months.
Yes.
Do you know what her stipulation was for? Were you involved in that process?
No, I don't.
In regards to the failure to provide the notice of the right to consultation, then your pharmacy was delivering prescription drugs to patients via delivery. Was that to this AIDS clinic?
Mostly it was pickup, but there are some, I don't recall if we deliver to the clinic.
I have no other questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Jarvis. Anything else, Mr. Petrozelka, on redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Very good. I'm going to hand it over to President O for any further questions from the board. President O.
Thank you, Your Honor. Maria?
Yes, thank you. Dr. Armagon, I'm hoping you can help me with the timeline a little bit. I read a lot about what happened during the 7 weeks when you had a pharmacist employee there that you said you terminated. Were any of these situations or these events from before she was there? Can you talk about what happened before that was part of the disciplinary issues?
The 140, 160, I don't know the quantity of the prescriptions, it was in that 7 weeks. But the one with the Dr. DEA, no, it was, I think it was prior to that. It was 2013, as I heard Ms. Jarvis.
Okay, so there were a few issues with the prescription blanks themselves not being complete or correct, and that was from before.
Yes, it was a field prescription. Yeah, that was, I admitted that I made the mistake.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Jake?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jake. Renee?
Yes, hello, Dr. Armagon. I guess my
Yes.
question is a little bit more about what your next steps would be in terms of being hired, or what jobs you would be looking at. It seems quite varied based on the different trainings and education or volunteering that you've done. I'm not sure if you can try without going really into it, but what is it that you think your next step will be if you were to be released from the probation in terms of employment?
The reason that I keep my options open because I'm not sure if I can get any job as in a teaching position. So that's why I have this sterile compounding certificate. So hopefully I can get a job at the sterile compounding, and then I can go part-time to school because financially so far I can afford, and hopefully I'm looking to get some loans to go and get to become a clinical pharmacist. So that's why I left my options open.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for explaining. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you, Renee. Indira?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Indira. Trevor?
No questions.
Thank you, Jose.
No questions at this time.
Thank you, KK.
No questions, sir.
Thank you, Ricardo.
No questions also.
Thank you, Nicole.
My question was already answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
No questions, Sung. Thank you.
Thank you. I also don't have any questions. It was already answered. Thank you so much. Back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, President O. All right, back to you, Mr. Petrozelka. Any closing remarks you'd like to make?
Just very briefly, if I may, to summarize, Ms. Armagan has been practicing pharmacy in the state of California for over 20 years at this point of time. She served nearly 4 years out of her 5-year probation in full compliance and successfully. As you could ascertain from her testimony, she deeply regrets the mistakes that had happened in her past pharmacy, and without trying to relitigate or defend the errors, she admitted to her responsibility. She had put in some serious effort to remediate her failures, and we believe that at this point of time she will continue on her path to deliver excellent pharmaceutical services to her patients. And with that, we respectfully submit that at this point of time, there is no additional risk to the public that would arise from her being released from her probation. And we respectfully ask the board to grant her petition and terminate her probation at this time, as it would appear to be in the interest of the public. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, members of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Petrozelka. And Ms. Jarvis, no closing, right?
Correct. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the petition hearing in this matter. The record is closed. The case is submitted and we are off the record. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right. Now we are ready to go into closed session. As indicated on the agenda, the board will move into closed session for the stated purposes indicated on the agenda. As the board transitions to closed session, I'd like to announce that due to technological limitations, adjournment for the day will not be broadcast. Adjournment for the day will immediately follow closed session, and there will be no other items of business discussed.